how did you first, is there something that you saw in the corporate world that's like, oh, hey, I can see this is polarity and that's what's causing these tensions? And how did you come across to come up with the idea? And if you could tell us more, I'd love
to. Well, in the work we were doing in the field all those years, we were like everyone else, where we were trying to fix the problems in healthcare, and we kind of did that whole thing. We're going to move from this way to doing it this way. And what we noticed is there was a lot of resistance. There was just so much resistance in that work. We're going to go from traditional healthcare to innovation healthcare, and there's resistance in that, right? And then along the way, we met Dr. Barry Johnson, who was really, we call him the godfather of polarity management. And we partnered with him. We learned a lot from him. And the more we worked with him, the more we understood that polarities are everywhere and that they needed to be applied. And Tracy and I didn't see anyone applying it to healthcare. So that was one thing we knew that we could really help people understand it, what polarities are, and then actually give them tools to assess polarities and to and really have sustainable outcomes, because that's another major issue in healthcare. We don't have sustainable outcomes. I'll let Tracy tell you a little bit more about just what polarities are and how we help leaders understand pretty quickly how they work.
Polarities are interdependent pairs of values or points of view, perspectives. They appear to be opposite or contradictory to each other, but they actually need each other over time to get you to that greater purpose that both serve. Okay, so a really easy example that any health professional would understand is inhaling and exhaling. Right? We have to inhale to receive oxygen and exhale to remove carbon dioxide. But we have to have both to sustain life. Right? If we don't, the deeper fear or the biggest risk we have is that we'll die, right? So all polarities work the same way. So there's benefits to both poles, and each of the interdependent pairs are called a pole. So there's benefits to both, and you want to leverage both in order to keep moving yourself towards that greater purpose. And you want to avoid the negative consequence of over-focusing on one pole to the neglect of the other, right? So if we over-focus on inhaling, the carbon dioxide is going to build up, right? If we over-focus on exhaling, we're not going to get the oxygen that we need. So there's always a consequence to over-focusing. And it's learning to leverage this energy and tension that sits between these poles. Now, as an entrepreneur, right, and in healthcare, a major polarity is mission and margin. Right? We have to make money, right? But we are serving people too at the same time, right? We get into the field because of our mission, but we have to have margin, right? Individual and team is another one when it comes to interprofessional care, right? Working and bringing your gifts as an individual, but leveraging the strengths of the team. So, there's a methodology to that. And what we learned is that people are using an either or mindset. Thus the resistance, right? Because it's either my perspective or your perspective. And what we're teaching with polarities is that it's both and. In many instances, it's not an either or. You have to have both. And you just need to be able to differentiate between a problem and a polarity. And that's the polarity mindset component of polarity intelligence, is to first be able to differentiate when you have a polarity and it needs to be leveraged versus a problem that can be solved, okay? The other, and what we bring in with polarity intelligence and where we've taken it a little bit in a different trajectory than Barry Johnson, is adding healthy relationships and meaningful dialogue to the components of polarity mindset. And that's because we have to have that foundational relationship to sit in conversations with people who have opposing perspectives, and to know that we're moving towards a shared purpose and have meaningful conversations to uncover where resistance is, uncover what our perspective is, see the both and in the polarity itself. So that's just a little bit more about kind of polarities and polarity intelligence.